Welcome to Flavor Balance Heat, the podcast for hot sauce lovers and makers. Welcome back to part 2 of the Adventures of Co-Packing.
And how do you handle if there's leftover fresh produce?
So we've got a 2,000 square foot freezer, so that helps keep a lot of things. So we have most of our clients who use fresh produce use ingredients that we already source from farms. So we have, all the various chili peppers, onions, cilantro, dill, garlic scapes, etc. So we have a 2,000 square foot freezer full of all of that we pull, tomatoes, tomatillos, that we can just pull all of that stuff from just straight from our freezer. We do have a few clients who order other fresh ingredients. We've got a produce purveyor that we can order those things from. So orange bell peppers and thyme and mint and, I don't know, stuff like that. Anything that's left over, we just, we bag it up and put it in the freezer.
Gotcha. Do you put their name on it specifically, or does it just kind of go into the
it's for them.
Pool?
No, it's
gotcha.
for them. So we've got, it took us a while to develop the system, but we have a whole system that every client we work with has their own brand tags. And they're just thermal labels, like we would use for shipping. But we get a copy of their logo and it goes right on there. So it's visually super obvious what belongs to who. And it gets slapped on everything that comes in the door. And then that also has lot numbers and, all of that stuff for tracking, traceability.
Mm-hmm.
And then if the kitchen uses the outer packaging so that lot number is now, or that sticker is now missing, they can take it back to the receiving department and get that sticker reprinted. And so they can put it on the internal packaging or, whatever needs to happen. If we get like pallets of produce, then receiving actually just prints a stack of those stickers and they just like leave it on top of the pallet. And then the kitchen, as they're prepping them, will just stick it onto the bags or whatever we needed to do for.
So we do have a couple of clients, very few, that we allow them to bring in their own bottles. I've got a couple of clients that I can call up the bottle company and say, hey, we need, a few cases or, pallet or whatever for this particular customer. And they just charge that customer. Similarly, I can call up the produce supplier and say the same thing. Hey, I'm putting in an order for, this customer. The problem that I bump into when we let people bring in their own stuff, or people, insist on bringing in their own stuff, is timing. We'll tell them, hey, we're running your product on such and such a date. We need this here 48 hours in advance. And 9 times out of 10, I'm on the phone. Hey, man, we're running this thing in 3 days. Where are you? So honestly, that's the biggest reason that I just try to handle all of it internally rather than having people ship stuff to us.
And that's the main reason that I do take on ordering for people. It's because of that timing issue. And it is a lot of extra work. Like, I'd love to say, just make it come here and I will, and I'll just wait, but then it doesn't come, or they order it, but then they don't send me the tracking. And so then I can't look it up, and then I'm hounding them and they're like, leave me alone. And I'm just like, give me your freaking tracking so I can leave you alone, whatever. But
when I'm ordering it, if there's an issue, I can get it resolved almost immediately, because I can call them up. Hey, instead of the roasted garlic, you sent us the plain garlic. Can we get that fixed?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and it's one of the things that I like about referring people to the businesses that we work with. So like, we buy a lot from Birch Bottle. They're a New York based glass company.
I've used them before.
And they're really great. And I'll hear from my client like, oh, I'm ordering glass from Birch. And then I'm like, where's the glass? It's not coming in. I don't even reach out to the client. I just reach out to Birch and I say, hey, Jackie, where are the bottles for this client? And she can see that they're shipping to us. So obviously she can share the information with me, and she'll be like, oh, yep, it just left yesterday. It should be there to you tomorrow or whatever. And so that's really helpful. I can often get track. Yeah.
What's the craziest thing you've been at? Let me ask this 2 ways. This is just a fun question for me. What's the craziest thing you've been asked to co-pack, and what's the craziest thing you have actually co-packed?
Well, I got to think about that one. The craziest thing we have co-packed is we had a customer come to us very early in our co-pack. I think this was actually, it was during COVID. And we had a customer that wanted to make mustard from scratch. which included, soaking the seeds out, and we did it exactly as it's intended to be. You know where I'm going with this? As soon as we started processing that mustard, oh my Lord, they call it mustard gas for a reason, because the entire kitchen was just full of noxious fumes, burning our lungs, burning our eyes. We were very fortunate that we did that during COVID, because there was nobody else in the buildings around us. Because if there had been, we would have had the cops called on us. I have no doubt about it. So that was, I tell people this all the time. We've used every amount of pepper and extract and powder and flake and raw, doesn't matter. The worst thing we have ever made was a mustard from scratch. And I advise people to never attempt it on their own.
That's funny, because we actually don't get like the noxious side of mustard. Our mustard is very mild in terms of mustard spiciness. And I actually have never been successful to get that like nose burning, that you get out of like a spicy mustard. And It's method. We interviewed, a mustard maker here, and it's the way that we make it. But mustard, I've said it. I say it all the time that making hot sauce feels empowering and making mustard feels humbling.
We just started making mustards, by the way.
It just will knock out your knees at any chance it gets.
The one in particular that we were making leaned heavily into the dark mustard seed. And like that just was gnarly. When you were talking about the mustard factory earlier, it made my head explode a little bit. Like, oh man, I can't imagine what that place smells like.
I got to tell you a little aside. I got to tell you, we're making what we're calling a Chicago ketchup. And so we're actually running into some little, I'm going to have to put quotes around ketchup because of FDA rules, which I know Claire will love. But it's actually mustard, because in Chicago, they hate ketchup on hot dogs. And so it's a Chicago ketchup.
Well, so does ketchup, KETCHUP, does that have regulations? Because I know
it does, yeah.
Because I know catsup does. And
I don't know
why we have ketchup.
Oh, you know what? That might be the case. So I'm not sure. When I checked into it, it just said that just across the board, but I didn't look at the spelling. I didn't even think about it. So that may be the case. And this is why I love working with you.
But yeah, no, the reason we have ketchup is that catsup is regulated, and ketchup did not meet the qualifications to be a catsup. And so they, it's like the MYLK of the condiment world. Ketchup may now have regulations that I don't know about, but
God, I love it.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Every time we run a ketchup at the facility, at least one person on staff will do the thing from Monty Burns on The Simpsons. Ketchup, catsup, ketchup, catsup.
Well, our craziest thing we've ever made was basically a jelly, like a pourable jelly hot sauce. And it is a company, it turns out, is still in business, which I had no idea. I thought they had gone out of business, but I saw somebody referenced it, and I was like, wait, they're still here? And they just we made one big run for them, giant run for them, and then they just kind of disappeared. But I think he used to do his own production in-house, and I think he just decided that there were so many issues with having us produce it, having a co-packer produce it, that that he just brought it back in-house and just is doing it super small scale. He is like literally house. I think he was making his home before we took it over. But it was like a very lightly set jelly in a stout bottle, an 8-ounce stout bottle. And the problem is that you can't just lightly set jelly. It just, once you shake it, once you break the bonds, like the pectin bonds, then it's a totally different thing. And so does it reset? Does it not? And then if, I don't know, Tim, how much time you've spent with pectin, but good God. So we kept having issues with the pectin and the set, and it would, set differently from the beginning of the batch to the end of the batch where we were bottling. And we spent hours on the phone with DuPont because they were the ones who made the pectin that we were using. And this is a pectin that apparently sets more the more you shear it.
What?
Yeah, it was from orange. It was an orange or citrus pectin. And it would set more the more you shear it, and it set less the more you cooked it. I think was the issue. I don't remember, but it was like the way, like, so in terms of beginning to end of the set, and we were like, and we spent all this time and we kept running into all these problems. And it was, but again, I like reinventing wheels. It's fun.
Yeah.
But the
my
thing
mind's
that was
going right now.
Yeah.
Really.
But the thing that was truly not fun was we had an entire run that didn't set right. I don't remember if it was too much or too little. It was probably too little. And then, so it all had to be disposed of. And we were still somewhat early in this like large scale co-packing game. And he was like, could we reuse the bottles? And I was like, okay, well, we're gonna have to pay you for our time to like empty them out and clean them out. But we don't have like commercial bottle washers, but it's a stout bottle. It's wider, like a little easier to get into. And I'm like, we could do this. Also, we're repackaging the same product into it. So it's not, there's no like contamination risk. It just needs to be clean. And so we dumped jelly down the drain in the middle of winter on a Friday.
I can see where this is going. This is not good.
It was not good. It had no problem setting over the 0 degree weekend as it sat in our drains.
Oh,
and on Monday, we started just, regular operations. And all of a sudden, all our floor drains were backing up. And fortunately, we've got a very large drain system from the applesauce manufacturer that was there before us. So nothing actually got onto the floor. It just drained up into our drains. And so in the middle of winter, we had to called out the plumber and then called out the like rooter guy. And he came and he had to blast the pipes and he had to keep blasting the pipes until we got out to the road. That was like, that cost us like a couple $1,000. And it was nobody's fault but our own. Like we couldn't go back to the client and be like, hey, what the hell, man? Like that was our fault. We don't empty and reuse bottles anymore.
No,
nope, never do, never will. That was bad.
That's a big pain to begin with, let alone when you got the drains backing up. Oh,
yeah. So
we try to avoid pectin-based products for that very reason.
Yes.
We only have one in our catalog right now, and we are constantly fighting it.
Yep. And we do have a couple hot sauce makers who use pectin in their sauce just as like a thickening agent. And like, that's okay. That hasn't been a problem. We've also figured out how to activate the natural pectins like in chili peppers. And like, that's been helpful and like that works. But like, we figured out that it existed because we figured out that we could activate it. So like, we didn't like, it's not jelly.
Yeah.
It's not,
right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was rough.
Awesome.
Reinventing wheels.
Have you made that mustard at scale yet, Spike?
Nope. I'm a little worried.
You should send me a text when you do.
Well, luckily we're not doing it from scratch. We are using powder, so that does help quite a bit.
Gotcha.
But yeah, we've got two. We've got a stout mustard, and Claire, you just made me think. We should put that in a stout bottle. It'd be actually really nice on the shelf. And then also, because it's a sauce, it's not an actual mustard. It is a sauce. That's what we're doing it as, but it's not a hot sauce. And then we're also doing the Chicago.
I'm Claire George. I own Butterfly Bakery of Vermont. We make hot sauce, mustard, cookies, and granola, and 100% of our products are made with Vermont ingredients. The thing that I hear most often from people is that my hot sauce tastes like the peppers that are in it. We do really simple recipes that don't get too crazy and nitpicky, just to really accentuate the flavor of the peppers that are in there. The unique thing about our hot sauces is how much we feature the farm and the relationship with the farm and really bring the terroir of Vermont to our hot sauces. I am pretty sure I am the #1 purchaser of Vermont-grown chili peppers. I would love it if there would be a legitimate pepper market in Vermont where people would know Vermont for its peppers. We're all better for supporting each other. And I think that part really shows itself with the collaborations that I do with the other businesses and the other farms, that I love working together and coming up with new ideas and presenting each other with new challenges. And I think overall that's the attitude here. And I absolutely love it because that's my attitude. I try to live my life with love. The ingredients that I use, I would say that my values are reflected in that, that I use ingredients that, again, feel good, feel loving, feel supportive. The relationship with the farmer was how it all began. If I changed the reason for it being, if I went out and bought some commodity peppers, it might not be as good.
You can find Butterfly Bakery of Vermont hot sauce, mustard, granola, and cookies at butterflybakeryvt.com, which is yummy. And it's got pickles in it.
Nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, it's not a Chicago dog sauce. That's one thing I didn't want to do, but it's got some elements of that in there. It's got some nice stuff.
We did also make a mustard. We had a co-pack client come to us wanting mustard. And I was actually really excited because I was like, I want to learn more about mustard. And I wish we made mustard more often than we do, just to learn and understand it. And so I was like, this is a great opportunity. It's a totally different mustard than ours, and we'll learn all about it. And this mustard had egg in it. It was like old style mustard. We kept cooking it, and he at that point had been making it on a stovetop with direct heat. He had never tried making it with indirect heat, and we couldn't get it to set up properly in the kettle, in the steam jacketed kettle, and to the point it burned. I've never had anything burn in my kettle before, and it burned and like seared onto the output valve, and it took a few days to get that fully clean. I mean, it had egg in it. We're not going to do anything until that is, 100% clean. Good God. That was so rough. Like we basically did a test batch, and we were like, well, that was fun.
That's one thing I did notice. Go ahead.
You just reminded me, this may be the weirdest thing that someone has asked us to cook, which incidentally is also a mustard. They were calling it a honey mustard. And we said, yeah, sure, come on in. We'll talk to you about your honey mustard. And they showed up with dozens, plural, of eggs, pounds, plural, of butter. And we're like, what in the world is this thing that you're calling a honey mustard? It was basically a béarnaise sauce. And we were like, whoa.
Wow.
That's not... Oh, we got it from my grandma's recipe book. This will be great. It moves like hotcakes. Yeah. And that was one that we had to, whoa. This is not what we had in mind. I don't think this is going to be a good fit, unfortunately.
One of my favorite things I've ever seen was, and I don't like the American version at all, and I don't like the tone, but Gordon Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares, the original British version, is really pretty cool because the way he handles things. He has them like, your restaurant's dying, go around and give flyers out. Like, he actually has them doing things to try and get people, and he helps them more, but he's still got that attitude that he actually doesn't seem to have as much anymore, which I really appreciate. And one of the things he did is he walked into one of the kitchens and they had a bunch of his cookbooks up. And so they thinking they were going to impress him, and they were making a lot of his stuff for the restaurant. And he goes, this isn't going to work. This is designed for your kitchen at home. This is not designed for a commercial kitchen.
Yeah.
And if you try and put this out, you're going to go insane. It's no wonder you're ruining everything. And it was just a really great learning experience, something I've sent other chefs to, like, watch that, because it's really important you understand that this is not the same thing and we have to do things differently. And it's especially true in the hot sauce industry. My goodness, you can't do it all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. The biggest thing that clients come to us having done in their recipe at home is browning. And they'll you start every recipe, put a little oil in the bottom of the pan, and you brown your onions and your garlic. And we can't do that in a steam jacketed kettle. We just can't.
We get asked frequently, can you destem the serranos? No, we definitely can't do that. We get a lot of questions of, can you strain this? No, we're not going to strain, 60, 120 gallons at a time. That's not really going to work, unfortunately.
So So you don't de-stem. How do you deal with stems?
I'm sorry, de-seed. I'm sorry,
De-seed.
de-seed.
Oh,
I
good
was thinking
God.
about that
Sorry.
too. I was like, wow, that's some balls.
No, sorry. Good.
Well, no, I mean,
I didn't realize I said that. DC.
we do stem on and stem off cooks as like two separate things, but we mill if we do stem on cook, then we mill the whole thing, but then you were saying, no, we don't strain. And I was like, God, then what do you do?
Sorry, that was very confusing.
But yeah, de-seeding. But that's right. We had a client who, like, our mill will remove a fair number of seeds, but it won't remove 100% of them. And and especially when you're talking about like serranos or something that's like really seedy, they'll be like, there's still a lot of seeds in here. And I'm like, yeah, it's food. Like, it's food. It's okay. Like, yeah.
We did have one recipe recently. This is probably within the last year where it came out to be hundreds of pounds of red Thai peppers.
Oh, wow.
They wanted them all de-stemmed, and I'm saying that intentionally this time.
Yeah.
And of course, the answer is, do you have any idea how many peppers are in a pound of red Thais?
God, yeah.
And you've got 120 pounds into this recipe. I'm sorry, that's not going to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to come down and do this, right?
You know what is actually kind of great? Like, it's a huge pain in the ass, and it's also, you can't always do it. But every once in a while, a client has to get involved in the manufacturing. Like, it is often a pain in the butt to have a client involved in the manufacturing. But when it works out, when it has to work out that way, they develop such an appreciation for what goes into it.
Yes.
And I've had multiple clients who've had to be involved in the manufacturing. We had a salad dressing client who we said, no, we can't do it. And they're like, well, can we just come and do it ourselves? And I was like, oh, okay, sure, fine. I don't say that anymore. It worked for them. It does not work for anybody else. But they would, I remember in the very beginning, they wanted to have like a tag hanging off every bottle.
Yes.
And I was just like, that's such a huge pain in the butt. They're like, oh, but it's so good. And then when they got into doing it and they were putting a tag on every bottle, they were like, this is a huge pain in the butt. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You guys know about our beginnings, about our comics?
Well, I remember you've told me. Yeah. Yeah.
So when we had this, might look familiar to you. By the way, I told you this on text. I'm going to tell you again, one of the best green sauces I've ever had in my life. Oh my God. So when we first started on the net, just under the shrink band, and I had to place it exactly right, we had a Bazooka Joe style comic with a snarky fortune on the back. And so we had to print them all up and fold them exactly right. So it said free comic on there, and they had to stick out just underneath. And that lasted about a year and a half before I almost had a mutiny. And I'm surprised it lasted that long. We did do it for our anniversary one this year. We brought back idiot sauce for one day or one run.
Well, we still hand number our bottles, which fortunately my guy in charge of labeling is really good at doing it. And he does every once in a while. So he's like, so do you want to keep doing this? And I'm like, yeah, I think so. And he's like, okay, just asking.
Hey, Spike, thank you for the comment on the green sauce. I appreciate that. When we first came to market, we were in the same bottles that you're using currently, Spike, the plastic 8-ounces. And I had put the label on, and then I put a little hand tag on them, and then I put them into a bag and put them all together. Same deal. That lasted, 6 months, and
That's awesome.
Enough of that. That's not going to work. That's not scalable.
I have with these tried to figure out how can we put the comic on here. It's not going to happen. That's a once every once in a while thing now. We did come out with which is available on our website, irishspikes.com. I had to do that. But we actually have a comic book of all the old comics, which was on our 5th anniversary.
Nice. That's awesome.
And that was a lot of fun. Yeah. So I think we didn't charge much for it. It was just kind of fun to come out with. Well, go ahead.
Well, I would say, should we ask Co-Pack? I mean, I feel like we've talked a lot about co-packing, but yes. I'd say one thing might be, and I don't even know what the answer to this is for myself yet, but what are the things that we as co-packers want potential clients to understand?
Can I ask one question before we go to that?
Yes.
That's a great question. I do want to ask, but I want to ask, and this is a hard question to ask, but I actually just want to know it, just in general, approximately. And we're not going to listen, people, don't call them up and say anything. I want to know approximately how much does it end up costing per case or per bottle for when you have something co-packed. Let's just say they're doing a 60-gallon kettle. What are you paying as opposed to, because people really do wonder that. Like, if I'm thinking about co-packing this, what am I going to have to pay outright and then sell after that? And that's a hard thing. And I think maybe giving a range would be the better way to do that. But if you can give kind of an estimate with a standard Woozy bottle, probably be best.
Sure, I'll give you the lawyerly answer.
That's it. That's
the
what
politician
I expected,
answer that we give everyone, which is every sauce is different. We have to take into consideration the prep, the cook.
Yeah.
How difficult is it to make? How much time does it take? Do I have to de-stem 120 pounds of red Thai chili peppers? Is it mash? Am I ordering? Are you ordering? Do you have the fun stoppers in there? Are we using the line to apply the shrink bands, or do you have some special, neon green shrink band that we need to apply by hand? So there's a ton of different things that go into it. But as far as range in a 5-ounce Woozy bottle, I usually tell people it's probably between $2 and $3 a bottle, depending on your ingredients by the time you get out, thereabouts.
That's actually a lot of information knowing that. Yeah, that helps people a lot, I think. And what about you, Claire?
Every sauce is different.
Yeah. I mean, you could go to 4 depending on what you're, if you're going to have to de-stem 100.
Or if I'm ordering, pallets of Reaper powder on my dime and,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I would say also that everyone is different. And also we do a wide variety of batch sizes. So it costs a lot more per bottle when we're doing 12 cases than when we're doing 4,500 bottles. So it, I don't know if I could give an answer right now.
No, that's understandable.
But,
that's why I think I said a 60-gallon kettle.
Right.
Just as kind of a general, but I get it if it's not answerable. It really,
And it really depends on the ingredients. I also don't necessarily have a clear answer because on that higher end of the scale where you're going to get the lower prices, I don't know what they're paying for all their ingredients. They're paying for all their ingredients.
Yeah, that's true.
That makes perfect sense.
So I would probably say in a wide range, anywhere between, $2 and $5 a bottle, with depending on the batch size and the ingredients and all of that.
And again, I think that actually gives a lot of information to people because, I don't think a lot of people really have any clue. If they have an idea in their head that I might be paying as much as $5 a bottle, then, they can kind of get an idea of where they can go with that. That's what is, right. As a business person, that's the first thing I'm doing. I'm going, okay, so it's $5 a bottle. Well, if it's less than that, then, I'm winning.
And at that high price point, I mean, you're only going direct to consumer. Like you're not taking that wholesale. You're not, this is so you can get your, handful of cases and, sell them at the market or, whatever.
Absolutely.
But I think that the thing for potential customers to keep in mind on that is that when you make something yourself, you have a tendency to devalue your own time spent. And kind of with good reason. That's kind of how you can get a business started, is to just use up all your own hours and not pay anybody else to do that time. But when it's easy to think about the glass and the ingredients and all of those things, but when you're paying us, when you're paying a co-packer, we have to pay, a fair wage to our employees. We have to pay for the heat in our building. We have to pay for all of those pieces and profit. The only way we continue to have a business is because we make profit. And so you are paying more money per bottle than if you were doing what we're doing. When we make our own sauces, it costs us less than what you are paying. But you're also only paying for that bottle. And I think the
margins for us making the sauce are way lower than we make for ourselves. We don't get much back compared to when we make for ourselves and sell for ourselves, we're making a lot more.
That's a very good point. I've had a lot of people come to me and say, oh, I expected coming to a co-packer, it was going to be cheaper because of the volume. And we have to explain to them, you're not coming to us to get it cheaper. You're coming to us to free up your other time to go spend that growing your business up.
Absolutely.
And I've also had a lot of conversations of when I do it myself, I'm at, call it $2.50 a bottle, which in addition to what you just said, Claire, of, you may not be taking into account the entire picture in terms of licenses, maintenance on the kettles, electricity in the facility, fair wages to workers, yada, yada, yada. But even if it is $2.50 a bottle, that's your cost. We can't manufacture your product for cost.
Right.
There needs to be a margin on top of that cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a harder business to get into. I was really glad that you said that, because that's kind of where I was aiming with that question, Claire. I wanted the rest of that to come through without specifically saying it.
And I think also it's important that there's a wide range of costs of co-packers. There's a wide range of qualities of co-packers. There's a wide range of relationships with co-packers, finding the right fit with the right co-packer. And, I know I have heard many, many horrible co-packer stories, so I'm not going to say that every co-packer is, truly a wonderful being. But generally speaking, if the price point from the co-packer is coming in at too high, or something is off, or it's not going right, approach it with curiosity and with questions. And you may find out, oh, my assumptions were wrong, or this isn't a good fit for me, or anything like that. And I think that that's I think that's just, the really important part of it is that it's, when you go into it, you don't know everything. They don't know everything. And it's going to be, it's a thing to figure out and learn along the way.
As somebody who's been in the business, go ahead. You go.
One of the best questions to ask if, the price point isn't quite hitting where you need to be from a business perspective, the best question I would recommend is, hey, is it possible to get that price down at a larger volume? And that's what I tell people all the time, is that volume is your best friend for getting that price point down. Yeah.
That's actually something we have kind of a standard sauce. And we just try to push everybody into that standard sauce. So when people want really crazy things, we'll say, we can do that, but it's going to cost you extra. And they go, ooh, I don't want that extra cost. Okay, we'll stay in this range.
Yeah. Right.
And so we had somebody who wanted this extra special sticker on the outside, and we charged them an extra nickel for every bottle because goddamn those stickers. And but they wanted them. So I was like, okay, well, you're paying for them. That's fine. But so we kind of have a standard sauce price, and we go across all our kettle sizes, all the way from stovetop up to 200 gallons. And that having that grid has given so much ease to our pricing that we can say, that people can see, okay, you know what? I'm going to go up to an 80 gallon on this batch because I can get that lower price point, instead of them being like, can you just charge me less for 40? No, I can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's also on a spreadsheet, and they're like, well, that looks real.
Well, and literally it's, the setup, the cleanup and all that costs so much money.
Yeah.
That for all of us, it costs so much. It's how I got my own business in trouble for a while there. And I've talked about this a little bit, because I got the steam jacketed kettle and went, oh, we can make big batches all the time, except that we have all that inventory, and I make a lot of different sauces.
Yeah.
And so when you're making, 60 plus different sauces, you kind of can't do that, because you're going to have a lot of money just sitting. But the per bottle price was so low. It was so enticing. I just wanted to get that bottle cost down so that we could be good. And that is not the way to go. Yeah. Not in that case, at least. Flavor Balance Heat, the podcast for hot sauce lovers and makers, is brought to you by Irish Spike's unique hot sauces and Vandal pepper sauces. I'm Spike, the owner and executive saucier. Our sauces are handmade in the Pacific Northwest using the best possible ingredient. We believe that hot sauce equates to a balance of sensational heat coupled with a robust and complex flavor profile. Live your hottest life with Irish Spikes. Irish Spike's unique hot sauces and Vandal pepper sauces are available at saucecult.com.
There was something else that we were just talking about that I was going to.
Sorry, I knocked you. My ADHD.
What were we just?
You were going to bring up. You had a really, really good question, and now I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, that one. That's right. Well, no, just what we want clients to.
Yeah.
What we want clients. Oh, no, actually, I do remember what I was going to say about pricing and kettle sides and that sort of thing. So one thing that we get a lot is we have clients who want different sizes of bottles. So Tim, do you do other sizes of bottles, or do you primarily just do one for the whole run?
We take it on a case-by-case basis.
Yeah.
We do have a couple of customers that'll be in both the 5-ounce and the 10-ounce woozy.
Yeah.
And so we'll cut it in the middle and switch over, but we really try to discourage that as much as possible. Gallons are one thing, because gallons are easy to fill, so we can run some 5-ounce and then some gallons alongside of it. That's easy. But in terms of like, hey, we need 2 ounces for samples, and then we need 5-ounce for this store, and then we need 8-ounce for this store. We really try to discourage that as best we can.
Yeah. So that's what we run into with gallons and like commercial sizes is our price point goes up really high when we start getting into those gallon prices, because all of those cleanup costs and setup costs and prep costs and cook costs are just rolled into a much smaller number of bottles.
Yeah. There's so few units at the end of the run. It's difficult.
Right. And if you're charging per bottle, then it's going to come across as a really high number, because it takes us actually bottling only takes us, an hour and a half or whatever. All the stuff on either side takes so much more time. And so, we get clients who will say they'll say they want gallons. And I'm like, okay, just keep in mind, the price goes up way faster than you expect it to. We are conditioned to these $15, Frank's Red Hot gallons. And that's because those factories only make gallons. That's all they do. And they have machines doing it all. And they only make gallons, because we have determined, nobody's ever taken us up on this, if we did our 200-gallon kettle at only gallons, we can drop the price in half.
That's what we recommend to everyone. We say we can churn out 180 gallons per day. If you're running only gallons, that is the way to go, because that way we can actually get that price point down where it makes sense. Otherwise, it's astronomical.
But be ready, because those gallons are going to sit, and you're going to have that's sitting money.
And literally nobody has ever, I spent so much time mathing that out, because we have 2 different production areas. We do our 200-gallon cooks in one area, and then we do our bottling in another area. But if we're doing 200 gallons only in the gallon jugs, we could just stay in that area. We never have to set up in the other area.
Right.
We don't have to set up the filler. We don't have to set up the crew. We don't have to do all those things. It's just like 1 or 2 people in the corner filling gallons. And you could easily, it's not going to take that long. It's only 200 of them. And we could drop the price in half. But if you're going to be doing it as part of a bottling day, we have all the bottling expenses that just have to be wrapped up into those 10 or 20 or 40 gallons.
And to your point about changing out the bottle size during production, a lot of folks don't necessarily realize that, hey, we actually got to refit the entire line at that point, because we were set up for woozies. Now we're going to an 8-ounce, for the latter half of, we got to change out the labels. We got to change out the shrink bands. We got to adjust where the lock coder is hitting. Like it's a lot of work to change out mid-run to get those. And
I think that's also one difference with us, because for us, switching bottle size is a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's fine. But we still put our hand, we still hold the bottles in our hands. We're not on a conveyor for the bottling.
Yeah.
We are for labeling, but not for bottling. And we also label separately from bottling. We have the bottle in our hand, and so we just have to have the right fill timing. And that's really the only change that we have to make to switch over. And then we also cap by hand as well. So, and then they go into cases, and then they go to be labeled separately. So that is, but our labeling line, it's a pain in the butt when we have to switch sizes.
Yeah.
So yeah. What do we want customers to know, clients to know?
I always recommend keeping scalability in mind from the get-go. If I'm coaching people that are new to market, hey, keep scale in mind. This may work at a 2-gallon run on your home kitchen, but we're going straight into 60-gallon. Keep that in mind. And you want to get to a point where we can flip 180 gallons of this in a day. So if you're using some special pepper that you're getting on Amazon in little teeny tiny packages, that's probably not going to work. So find a substitute for that. That is probably the number one thing that I try and coach people on as they're coming into the game from scratch. The Thai chili peppers was a classic example of that, because in their mind they hadn't really thought about that oh yeah, you do have to pick all of those peppers that go into it, and oh yeah, there's a gazillion tiny peppers per pound.
Yeah. We work with a few different like recipe developers who like send their clients to us, and it's always, I far prefer when we do our own recipe development, because we can do that. We keep that scalability in mind from the very beginning, that we can go from 2 gallons to 200 gallons, and we know what the changes are going to be and what the effects are going to be and what you want to do at 2 gallons to make it work at 200 gallons. And that's when we have a chef who comes to us with a recipe, and then we're like, well, we're going to move you over here.
I hate to say this, but chefs are the worst. I love y'all. You're my people. You're the worst.
And it took me a little while to just not accept everything they do at face value. You want to, oh my God, the worst, which I did push back on this even early on, but was we had a chef who wanted whole limes in the recipe. And I was like, whole, like with the peel? And he was like, no, you just cut off the peel. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
And I was like, could we do could we, I was just thinking through,
was
like,
it
how do we get in the pulp
recipe?
or what? And I was trying to think through how we would get the pulp or whatever. He was like, or we could just use lime juice. And I was like, good God. Why was that not like from the start? Why were you
We did have
peeling whole
one
limes?
client years ago that insisted that the lemon juice had to be freshly squoze lemon juice.
Yeah.
We use a lot of unpasteurized lemon juice out here, and I'm like, hey, it's the same thing. It's it's not pasteurized. It's in the refrigerator. No. It has to be freshly squoze lemon juice. And so I think we even got a machine that you dump lemons into, and it chopped them and squeeze them. I think eventually he finally got the idea, because we were charging him for all of that. Obviously, we can't do that out of the goodness of our hearts. And every time he would be like, hey, why is this product so expensive? I'm like, dude, you have us squeezing gallons of fresh.
Tune in next week for part 3, the finale of Co-Packing Adventures. This has been a Spike Mind Media production.